Why is it taking so long to get your 2020 IRS tax refund? Maybe you filed your 2020 tax return in late February or early March of this year, 2021. And now 6 weeks or 8 weeks have already passed, or maybe you're watching this video even later and it's been several months and you still haven't received that direct deposit from the IRS or that paper check from the IRS that is your 2020 tax refund. Why is it taking so long? What's the delay? I want to hopefully give you some answers to that question in this video. My name is Steve Hunt. I'm a certified public accountant, and I'm the consultant for prosperity and adventure. I'm the expert at helping people like you reach your dreams faster. So if you'd like more freedom, more wealth, and more adventure in your life, please reach out to me. I'm also the owner of collegetaxrefunds.com, where we help recent college students and their families and parents claim thousands of dollars that they don't even realize that they missed on their old tax returns. So if you have a recent college student in your family, please have them check out collegetaxrefunds.com. There's a free tool there where they can punch in a few numbers from their old taxes to see if they missed money on their taxes. And that happens to lots of college students. Millions of college students are missing thousands of dollars. So as I said, I want to answer your question today about why is it taking so long for the IRS to process your tax return and send you your refund check for 2020 in 2021. Now, this has been addressed by a couple of news articles recently. Here's one from as.com saying, why is my tax return still being processed? Why is it so delayed? And here's another one from KOAM, newsnow.com, federal tax refunds delayed as the IRS deals with the backlog and with stimulus payments. So that kind of gives you a hint into a little bit about what's going on, and I'll get more into that in just a second. First of all, let me let you know that generally speaking, the IRS claims that it can get its refunds out to taxpayers within 21 days after they file or e-file their tax return. So if you have just recently e-filed your tax return within the last 3 weeks, you still need to wait until that 3-week period is up before you start to worry. It takes about 21 days. Even right now, the IRS claims that they're getting about 90% of tax returns processed within that 3-week period. I'm not sure that that's true. I think that over the last couple of years, it's taken a lot longer, and I'll explain why there's a backlog and a delay in just a minute. Now remember, if you filed a paper tax return and didn't e-file, now it's going to take the IRS twice as long, normally 6 weeks, for them to process your paper tax return and send you a refund. Also realize that if you didn't give the IRS your bank account and your routing number so that they could direct deposit your refund, it's going to take longer for them than the 3 or 6 weeks to send you your paper check. So I'm talking today to the people who e-filed their tax return more than 3 weeks ago and have a bank account on their tax return, and yet they still haven't seen their refund check, or people who paper filed more than 6 weeks ago. So if that's you and you're wondering why you haven't seen your refund yet, I'm hopefully going to give you those answers here. Now, for each individual tax return, it can take some of them longer than others as the IRS reviews your tax return and decides whether or not it's a legitimate claim of money that you're asking for. But normally, you can check the status of your tax refund by using an IRS tool called Where's My Refund? So I want to show you that tool right now. If we go to Google, you can just type in Where's My Refund? Or you can type in Where's My IRS Tax Refund? Or something like that. And it should give you the irs.gov website, a link to Where's My Refund at the Internal Revenue Service. Be sure that if you're Googling this, that you go click the link that will take you to the Internal Revenue Service. You don't want to follow any links that might bring you to some scam website asking you for your social security number and your tax information. Now, if you want to be even more safe, don't go to Google. Simply type in this URL at the top of the page, irs.gov/refunds. Again, that's irs.gov/refunds. And that'll take you to this Where's My Refund page. You then click this link for Check My Refund Status. Now, in order to find your refund, you're going to need your social security number, your filing status on your tax return, and the amount of your tax refund that you're claiming. Now, here's another helpful thing to know that you're actually on the right website. If you did this right and you went to the irs.gov website, you should get a pop-up, just like I did, that says, warning, you're not allowed to use this website for unauthorized purposes. You are only allowed to check the refund status on your own tax return, or if you're a tax preparer and you've been authorized by your client, you can check the status of their tax return. But you should not use this website for any unauthorized purposes. If you don't see this pop-up, it might mean you're on the wrong website, but it might also mean that you've simply visited this website earlier in the day, or maybe your pop-ups are blocked or turned off or something like that. But that's what's happened. Now, in order to check your refund status, as I said, you'll need your social security number. I'm not going to actually put anybody's social security number into this tool right now because I don't want you to see anybody's actual social security number. But you'll put in your number. You'll check whether you were single or married filing jointly, or married filing separately, or head of household or widower. And then you will put in your actual refund amount. If you're not sure how much you're waiting on, be sure to check your actual 2020 tax return. Go to TurboTax or to Tax Free USA or to H&R Block Online or to your tax preparer and get a copy of your tax return and check how much that refund is supposed to be and get the number right. Because if the number's not right, you're not going to be able to get the status. Now, here are some of the screens then that you are going to see in just a second here. Once you have, give me just a second to call those up. All right. Once you have filed or you entered your social security number, you entered your filing status, and you entered your refund amount, then you might see this, thanks for your patience, as the result. This is an example of someone whose refund and tax return has been processed all the way through, and the IRS has already sent them a refund check or a direct deposit. This one says that your refund was sent to your bank account on March 23rd, 2021. So this is what you hope to see, except that you probably wouldn't be on this page if they had already sent you a refund check. So this is probably not what you're going to see if you're wondering where your refund check is. And if you do see this, then you're going to be scratching your head saying, wait a minute, I never got it. Go check your bank account. Go check your recent activity, your transactions. Check the date, in this case March 23rd, and make sure that that deposit from the U.S. Treasury didn't actually show up. If it showed up, you're good to go. Congratulations. If it didn't, go to your tax return and make sure that you gave the IRS your bank account number and routing number. And then make sure that that bank account number and routing number are correct. Because if they weren't, maybe that money went to the wrong bank account. All right? Now, if your bank account, routing number, and account number are correct, and this website says that they sent you your money, now you got to call up your bank and say, hey, the IRS.gov website says that they sent me a deposit on this date, and I gave them the correct bank account, routing number, and information, and why isn't it showing up in my account? And see if your bank can help you track it. Now, if your bank can't track it, reach out to your CPA or to whoever prepared your taxes and see if they have any understanding or knowledge of why it's not there. But then finally, you may have to contact the IRS. And I'm going to give you a number to call the IRS and figure out what's going on in just a second. So keep watching here. But most of us are probably not going to see this "your refund has been sent" screen. If you see it and you think it's wrong, you've got problems, you need to do some of the steps that I just told you, but I'm not going to go any deeper into it than that. Now, if you see that this orange bar has gone 1/3 of the way through and it says your return has been received, that's great. That means that they have received your tax return. They're working on it. It might just be taking a little longer than normal. Just wait a couple more weeks. They might even give you a date as to when they anticipate it will be done. If you see it as 2/3 of the way through, it says your refund has been approved. That's even better. It means that it's on its way and they're going to send you a check or a direct deposit really soon. They might even have a date as to when that money's coming. And finally, if it says the refund's been sent, we've already been there. But what if instead of that bar, you see this? You see your tax return is still being processed, and then there's not the bar, and it says a refund date will be provided when available. All right, so in this case, I'm not sure why it doesn't just show a single 1/3 of the way through bar saying refund received. But I guess it's because they don't have any more data. They don't know how long it's going to take. This is probably simply that their system has recognized that it's received your tax return, but then nothing else has happened. It's probably been flagged, maybe, for some reason. I'll get to why that might be in a second. And now an actual live agent needs to take a look at your tax return. And for many people who have been waiting for several weeks or months, this might be the screen that you see. I've called the IRS about screens like this, and the general answer is there's not much more information they can give you at this time. They have received your tax return, and if they need more information, they're going to send you a letter. The IRS does not contact you by phone or by email. You will receive a letter asking for more information. So if somebody does reach out to you on the phone or by email and ask you for your personal information, do not respond to that. That's not the IRS. That's some kind of a scammer. Report it instead. to scam agencies. Go Google that and figure out how to report that. But you'll get a letter from the IRS asking you for more information if they need it. Now, they may not need it. This may simply just be that the IRS is backlogged. I'll tell you why that might be in just a minute. But so really on this screen, if you haven't gotten any other letters or information, you can probably just realize the IRS is working on it. They're just behind. And I'm not sure exactly how long it'll take, but I'll tell you reasons why they're behind in a second. Now, what if you see this screen? You punched in your Social Security number, your filing status, and you punched in your tax refund amount, and you got this screen. It says, you may not have entered your information correctly. Please verify your data. It's because what they have on file doesn't match anything that you just entered, or what you just entered doesn't match anything they have on file. Take a look. Make sure you correctly entered your Social Security number, your filing status, and your tax refund amount. If you didn't, click the re-enter button and re-enter it again. Make sure that you do it correctly. If you did enter it correctly, it's saying, all right, well, what day did you file your tax return? And did you file on paper or electronically? Unfortunately, if you enter that information, it's probably not going to give you any more information about how long it's taking or why there's a delay. It's simply going to tell you if you enter a date that was within 3 weeks ago or within 6 weeks ago, it's going to say, well, you need to wait a little bit longer. We still need at least 3 or 6 weeks to process it. So there's not a lot of information here. Do realize that if you know that you've filed your tax return and you know that you're entering your Social Security number and your filing status and your refund amount correctly, then this indicates there might be something wrong. Okay, now we got to do some sleuthing. If you're certain you entered your data correctly, now you need to reach out to your tax preparer, H&R Block, whoever did it for you there, your CPA, and you need to make sure, or go to TurboTax and make sure that there's an acknowledgement screen. Make sure that your tax preparer tells you that, yes, the IRS has acknowledged that they have received and accepted your tax return. If that hasn't happened, then you need to hit resubmit or have your CPA resend the tax return or something, because this screen seems to indicate that they haven't got your tax return yet. Again, only if it's been a few weeks and you're seeing this screen. So make sure that your tax return was actually submitted and that you have the data right at this point. If you know you have the data right, if you know your tax return was submitted several weeks ago and you're still getting this screen, now it's time to call the IRS and see if they have any reason why you're getting this screen and if they've received your tax return. I'm going to give you the number to call the IRS in just a minute. The last screen I want to show you that you might actually see is this one, where we cannot provide any information about your refund. And this is almost the same as the last screen. For whatever reason, the information you entered didn't match the records, and instead of asking you to verify it, they simply said, we don't have any information. Please verify your filing date. Make sure that you actually filed. Reach out to your CPA, your tax preparer, or your tax software provider like TurboTax, and make sure that you have an acknowledgement that the IRS actually accepted your tax return. And if you have that acknowledgement, and it's been a few weeks, again, this screen is like the last one, something may be wrong. You need to reach out to the IRS. So now I want to give you that phone number if you're in one of those cases where you filed your tax return over 3 weeks ago and these screens are giving you no additional information about the processing time. You can then call the IRS at this number right here. This is the best number that I have found out there for reaching a live IRS agent. It's 1-800-829-0582. And then it's going to ask you, do you want to do it in English or Spanish or some other language? Just wait. Don't hit any button. Just wait for the options to disappear and go away. And then it's going to ask you to enter your extension number. So dial extension 652. Now, in my case, I tried another phone number to get the IRS, and it told me my wait was going to be over an hour. Then I tried this number. This was just today. Tried this number and this extension to get the IRS, and it told me that my wait was going to be about 15 to 20 minutes or so. And it actually was. Actually, it said, I think, 10 to 20. I can't remember what it said. But I was talking to a live agent within 15 minutes, and I was done talking to them within 22 minutes. And I had asked them about the status of a tax return that had one of these screens. And they told me the tax return has been received. We have no more information at this time. But if the IRS needs more information, they'll mail you a letter. And otherwise, just wait, and we're working on it. So, again, I still want to provide reasons why the IRS may be backlogged. So let's get to that. But here was a number. I want you to know that if you're watching this video several months after I made it, and this video was made on April 20th, 2021, and you're watching this video several months later, it could be that this number is no longer the best number to reach a live IRS agent. And I apologize. That can change. I just wanted the people who watch it right now to know that here's a way to get a hold of a live agent, especially if this number goes viral and lots of people start using it, then it might be hard to get an agent this way. All right. So Let's talk about why it is that these tax returns are backlogged. What is causing the IRS backlog? So, first of all, know that the IRS was already understaffed to begin with. It's been understaffed for years. Congress has been slashing the IRS budget. Nobody seems to like the IRS for some reason. And so Congress stops funding it, and then they don't have enough agents on hand, and there's not enough agents to process tax returns, and there's not enough agents to answer your phone calls, and so you have to wait on hold for hours. I personally think the IRS should be funded, that the Congress should fund the IRS fully, because the IRS is not out there to get us. It's out there to get the bad guys. If you're cheating on your taxes, yeah, you should be afraid of the IRS. But if you're just trying to file your tax return and get your tax refund that the IRS, the government owes you, well, when the IRS is understaffed, it's going to take lots longer for you to get your tax refund, which is happening right now because they're understaffed. We want the IRS to have enough agents to go after the bad guys and enough agents to process the tax returns and enough agents to answer your phone calls. And the IRS, in my opinion, should be funded. But okay, now I'm going to get off my soapbox and I'm going to say that it was understaffed to begin with. And for the 2021 tax filing season, right now, the 2020 tax year, okay, it faces new problems in addition to the fact that it is understaffed. So what are those new problems? First of all, the 2019 tax filing deadline, which was normally April 15th, 2020, last year, was extended to July 15th, 2020, a 3-month extension right in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic when the IRS had sent all of its agents home already and it had shut down. And so it did not process any tax returns for like the bulk of 3 or 4 or 5, several months, even though people were still e-filing those tax returns. And so and then on top of that, this year's tax deadline has also been extended to May 17th. Only 1 month extended for 2020 tax returns. I made a whole video about that extension. If you haven't already watched it, check it out. But these extensions complicate things at the IRS. See, the whole IRS system is built on dates. So many tax returns are due on May 15th, on April 15th, on October 15th, on September 15th. And so if the dates change, then everything about their system gets complicated. And it just makes the whole process harder. What else has happened this year on top of them already being understaffed? Well, when the IRS reopened their doors in late summer, early fall of 2020, started bringing people back to work, the backlog was immense. Tens of millions of unprocessed tax returns were waiting for people to process them, and they could only be processed at a rate of about 1 million tax returns of the backlog per week. I mean, we're talking it was going to take weeks and weeks to get through the 30 million backlog tax returns. It was going to take 30 weeks or so. So we're just now getting to the end of that. At the end of March this year, so just a couple weeks ago, I think they still had 2 or 3 million tax returns backlogged from last year. So some of you out there may have filed your 2019 taxes in March or April or May of last year, and a whole year has gone by and you haven't seen your tax refund yet. That's because there's a couple of millions of tax returns still backlogged to this date. What else is causing this backlog? Well, the IRS had to issue 3 rounds of stimulus checks. Now, that hasn't happened ever. And each of the stimulus checks had a different set of rules. It had different people that the checks were supposed to go to. And each of them required a different direct deposit, a different paper check, and mailed notices saying, hey, you got this stimulus from President Donald Trump, and you got this stimulus from the IRS. And, so all of these stimulus checks had to be processed by the IRS, which is not something they normally do. And this was on top of their backlog for processing 2019 tax returns. What else? The IRS had to develop a new online tool to allow low-income people who normally don't have to file a tax return to claim the stimulus checks, because the stimulus checks went out to people who had filed 2018 and 2019 taxes already. But some people deserved a stimulus check and had never filed a tax return, so the IRS had to build an online tool for them so that they could ask for that stimulus check. Now, then the IRS had to start processing the requests made with that online tool. That's something they never had to do before. And then later, they had to take that whole tool down. And now, if you missed your stimulus check and you deserve one, you have to actually file a tax return. So that all happened in the middle of this 12 months, causing the backlog to take even longer with an understaffed IRS. Now, right now, tax returns that missed a stimulus check, or taxpayers who missed a stimulus check and want to claim it, have to claim the recovery rebate credit. And all of these are currently being flagged by the IRS computer system because an actual agent has to check, did these people really receive a stimulus check before we send them this recovery rebate credit? Did we actually already direct deposit a stimulus check to them? So this is making tax returns take longer, not just for people who are claiming the recovery rebate credit, but for everybody else, because the whole process is slowed down. What else is slowing the system down and causing your refund to be delayed? Well, the recovery rebate credit that I just got done talking about is what's called a refundable tax credit. That means you can get money back from the government even if you didn't pay money in. There are several of these. In fact, every few years, the government seems to be adding another one. There's the earned income credit for people who have low earned income and children usually. There's the child tax credit for people who have children. There's the American Opportunity Tax Credit for college students. And this is a credit that gets missed by lots of college students. So once again, please check out collegetaxrefunds.com. If you have a college student in your family, they typically deserve, if you have an undergraduate college student, they deserve the American Opportunity Tax Credit, and many students miss it, especially students who had scholarships or Pell Grants. They really should check out collegetaxrefunds.com to see if they miss money on their old taxes. But anyway, that's another refundable credit. Then there's the net premium tax credit, which is a healthcare refundable credit. All of these refundable credits are essentially free money from the government. And whenever you file asking for free money from the government, somebody has to review it to make sure you're not a scammer, make sure you're not trying to get money you don't deserve, make sure somebody didn't steal your social security number and use a bad address to try and claim your refundable credits. The IRS is really trying to prevent fraud, not only to prevent people like us from stealing the money, but to prevent other people from stealing our money. And so each of these refundable credits slows the process down, and adding a new refundable credit this year called the recovery rebate credit didn't help anything. And having all of these other credits, basically I want to tell you, if you filed your tax return this year and you tried to claim one of these refundable credits, the Earned Income Credit, American Opportunity Credit, and so forth, that could be why your tax return is delayed specifically, and why somebody else who didn't ask for these refundable credits already got their tax return. Finally, in March 2021, just last month, Congress passed another act to increase the child tax credit. I made a whole video about this new increase in the child tax credit, all the way up to $3,000 for children above age 5 and $3,600 for children below age 6. And the IRS or Congress wanted this money paid out early. And this is all to combat rising child poverty rates because of the recent COVID-19 pandemic. Well, Congress also tasked the IRS with being the people to send out the additional child tax credit rebate checks early, starting in July of this year. They're going to go out monthly. And again, I made a whole video on this, so check that out. But this is another job for the IRS to do. So again, I've just given you several reasons why the IRS is completely backlogged and backed up this year, because they're doing so many things this year that they've really never done before, in addition to processing your tax return. All of these stimulus checks, all of these extra refundable credits, processing the new child tax credit, and creating a new tool for the child tax credit so that you can go in and tell them whether you want to get your monthly payment or whether you want it to go to like a different parent, like if you're divorced or something. I mean, the whole process has become super complicated for the IRS, and they just don't have the staffing to take care of it. And so that is probably why your tax return is delayed. I want to say one more thing here. Just point out that there was a filing made by the Taxpayer Advocate Service. This is an independent branch of the IRS that tries to help taxpayers. Their job is to help taxpayers, and they looked into the IRS last year to see what was causing delays last year. So this is a statement or a filing that they made saying why things were slow a year ago, and it's even worse now, I'm sure of it. And the explanation of the problem, it says that the IRS fraud filters flagged 5.2 million tax refunds last year. And it released most of them after verifying the identity of the taxpayer and the income and the withholding status. But taxpayers expect to receive their refunds quickly, but for about 25% of the returns that were flagged for income verification, refunds took longer than 56 days, like more than twice as long for 25%. And for about 18%, Okay, so we're talking just a little bit less than 25. So almost 1 in 5 taxpayers who got flagged, their tax returns took longer than 120 days or 4 months. That was a year ago. So we're looking at about 18% of the tax returns flagged for identity verification. I don't know if that means about 1 million tax returns a year ago. It seems that it could be up to 1 million tax returns a year ago that were delayed for 4 months. Instead of taking 3 weeks, it took 4 months. And we know that some tax returns took more than a year. So that's what's going on. I apologize that it's taking so long for the IRS to process your tax return and get you your refund. But if you use that Where's My Refund tool, and it gives you any indication that the IRS has actually received your tax return, or if you call the number I gave earlier and the IRS agent tells you that they actually have received your tax return, just know that the IRS is working on it, that they're understaffed, that they're terribly backlogged, and that it could take several more weeks, maybe even months, hopefully not a whole year, but that's the situation we're in right now, partly because of the COVID-19 pandemic, partly because the IRS has been tasked with so many new things. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I'll try to answer your questions. If you have a question that might pertain to other taxpayers, I might make a video about it. If you'd like to watch some of my other videos explaining your tax questions, please do. Thanks for subscribing and liking. Have a great day.